coronavirus. They're politicizing it.
Coronavirus! I'm telling you, it's real! It's getting real!
Stay-at-home orders are now in place in 8 states, and all Americans have been warned.
Welcome to Miami!
There's more serious things out there like hunger and poverty, and we need to address that.
Like, it's really messing up with my spring break.
For the love of God, please stay home. Hi, I'm Dempsey Palat, and this week I'm reviewing... Now before we start, I just want to take a quick second to remind you guys to make sure you hit that like button if you like today's video, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well for more movie-related content weekly. I also want to extend a huge thank you to all of you guys who checked out my last video, my movie review for Big Time Adolescence. I got tons of love on it, and it really does mean the world to me. I also got a bunch of new subscribers, and to you guys, I want to say welcome to the channel, and I do hope that you love all the content that I put out going forward, including this review. But without further ado, let's actually jump into today's film. Quarantine was directed by John Eric Dowdle and stars Jennifer Carpenter, Jay Hernandez, Steve Harris, and Columbus Short. It's a remake of the 2007 Spanish horror film Wreck, and essentially the film revolves around a reporter who spends the night shadowing a group of firefighters and winds up attending a call with them in a building where a mysterious viral outbreak has occurred. Shortly after their arrival, the building is put on lockdown, and she, her cameraman, the firefighters, and all of the other building's inhabitants are forced to deal with the outbreak and all of its infected on their own. But you probably already knew that. I mean, after all, this film is over a decade old. You're probably wondering why I chose to review it in the first place, and the answer to that is pretty simple. I think right now, it's arguably the most irrelevantly relevant film to talk about. More so because of the title, because if we're being honest, this film is just not that good. I've actually had the opportunity to see the film that it's based off of, which is far superior. And this one, while it is a pretty faithful adaptation, it just feels so cheap. It's the equivalent of going to the store and buying the generic shampoo as opposed to the name brand one. It still gets the job done, but it's not nearly as effective as it could be. And my biggest issue with this film was the fact that there is just a lot of over-explaining. The virus is a prime example. In the original film, we kind of get a sense of what the virus is, but it's never fully explained. It's hinted that there might be some possession involved, but that it also may be a part of an experiment that went horribly wrong. But nothing is concretely explained. That window of ambiguity leaves the audience to wonder when the film is over. Here, the virus is labeled as rabies. Yeah. Which I'm not so sure works, and they really try to force it on you. And also, later on in the film, there's this scene where a bunch of characters manage to get away from the chaos in the lobby, and they watch this, not a press conference, but this news report on the TV where they see first responders lying about the outbreak, where they're saying that it's been contained and that nobody else is inside the building, which I guess is supposed to show the audience that the people outside don't really care about the people inside. And it's kind of redundant because up until this point in the film, we've actually seen cops, soldiers at every entrance of this building with guns, which if that doesn't tell you that the people outside don't care about the people inside, then I don't know what else will. This film is actually 15 minutes longer than the original, which is really strange to me because you can see where they expounded upon. They choose to stretch out the very beginning where they hang out at the firehouse. There's also these other moments that are absolutely not in the original, and they stick out like a sore thumb. There's just one scene where this guy gets attacked by a dog in an elevator, which it's like it happens and nobody really cares about. Yeah, the film lingers on a lot of the wrong things, and the pacing is thrown off considerably as a result. I also think that there are way too many characters in this movie. By my count, I think there are actually 3 or 4 additional ones that are not in the original, and it throws the whole movie out of whack too. Like, we get so much time and we spend so much time setting up these additional bodies, because that's what they end up being. They serve no purpose to the overall story other than just being a part of the ultimate body count, and it's dumb. They should have spent more time on the story, because that is where the strength in the original lies. And I feel repetitive talking about the original so much, but honestly, it's what makes the original so good. The fact that there are less characters and more story. here, even with that 15 minutes of runtime, this film really has nothing to show for because of that huge imbalance between story and character development. Now, I know that that is a lot of negative, but believe it or not, I actually did like a lot of stuff about this film too. The first thing being that consistently, this film is scary and tense. Truly. And that goes hand in hand with the direction. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but this is actually a found footage film, which essentially, for those of you guys who don't know, it is a film told in first person point of view. So everything that we see as the audience is through the eyes of both the cameraman and his camera, which is an extension of him, I guess. And as a result, our perspective, our perception is limited. So everything that he can see, we can see. Everything that he can't see, we can't see. And that happens plenty of times throughout the film where there's something that you don't expect around the corner. He doesn't know it's there, so we don't know it's there. And it's super effective. I found that to be one of the most effective parts of this film. And also, it goes hand in hand with one of my favorite scenes in this film. Because, you know, if you can't see something, you can't deal with it, but conversely, if you see something, you have no other choice but to deal with it. And there's this one scene in the film where a bunch of our characters are stuck in a room with this character who is clearly rabid, and they are infected with this virus, and nobody has any weapons. So the cameraman, he decides to take the camera and bash it into the infected person to save everybody else. It was something that I wanted to happen, but wasn't expecting to see. But it works because it's literally the only option they have. It's the most logical decision to make. And yeah, it's not in the original, actually. So it was something that I thoroughly enjoyed. I wish that this film had taken more American risks like that. I also really like the performances from Jennifer Carpenter and Jay Hernandez. Although it can still be a little bit ridiculous at times, their descent into madness as the night goes on really helps to sell the film. Overall, Quarantine is a passable yet subpar remake that really adds nothing to the found footage or horror genres, but that still provides some surprisingly satisfying scares, while still managing to play it safe. And for that, I'm gonna give it 2 stars.
Oh my God. You have no idea how bad this thing is.
Guys, stay at home. Save a life. I know a lot of people are saying that right now, but it's true. Okay, you'd be surprised just how much of an impact you have by just staying at home. I don't know, pick up a new hobby, focus on yourself, watch an older movie, but whatever you do, stay quarantined. And that actually brings me to my next point. I am planning on doing a lot more older movie reviews over the next couple of weeks. I know I mentioned this in my last video, but because of the lack of films that we'll be releasing over the next couple of weeks, I want to focus on a lot more older content. And I'll try to switch it up, but for the most part, I do want to focus on a lot of cult classic, arguably apocalyptic films. I've got a couple of fun ones on the docket that I do hope that you enjoy hearing my thoughts on, but you'll just have to wait to see what those are. But yeah, that's pretty much all the time that I have today. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your day to view this video. Really does mean the world to me. If you like this video, please make sure to hit that like button. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more movie-related content weekly. If you happen to see this movie, which more likely than not you probably have because it's over 10 years old, let me know what you thought about it down below in the comment section. Do you like it? I was actually browsing some comments. I actually found some people that are actually huge fans of this film. And it's not awful, but it's not, you know, perfect either. But yeah, that's once again, I have a lot of stuff that I need to work on. That's all the time that I have today, so I should probably get back to work. Until next time, I'm Dempsey Pillot. Take care.